back, y'all. Did you miss me? I missed you. Let's dive right into it. So we're still on this Dagger Vanguard kick. One thing about paddling that's really fun is that different boats really do feel different. It's a completely different experience to paddle a long boat, for example, versus a play boat. And if you get a chance in your paddling career, it's a great idea to try different kinds of kayaking, not just different boats. Different boats teach you a lot about paddling and about hydrodynamics, what you can expect in terms of feedback from the river, what they will and won't do while staying upright. All of that is going to make you a better paddler. For example, everybody who gets in a playboat and starts surfing immediately has a leg up in terms of getting trapped in a hole, surfing your way out. Being able to be comfortable in a big, scary hole is something that's really important and something that you want to train muscle memory on in case you're on your way down the lower gully, or the upper gully, hit a hole sideways and have to surf your way out. There's tons of benefits to different kinds of boats. So in this case, I've been paddling a Dagger Rewind Large for like my whole paddling career. It's a half slice, about 9.4 feet long, and I'm a big guy. I'm 6'1", probably 220 on a good day. And it's a really long boat. And so for a long time, switching between the Rewind and my play boat, which is only 7 feet long, I felt like paddling the Rewind was a bunch of work, really challenging to surf because it's so long. I felt like I was having a little trouble pointing it in the right direction, losing my tail occasionally. And so I'm paddling this long 12-foot Vanguard because by comparison, the Rewind will feel short. And sure enough, it totally does. So this long stretch of you seeing me paddling like only the Vanguard is intentional. I'm trying to create contrast between this boat and my other boats and see what I learn about my paddling style and my ability to control the boat. So today is a basic run, good times. I met up with the homies at the Put-In for a nice early morning run. So we're just going to get out there, get a workout, and I'm going to try and catch a trickier eddy in this longboat. So I'll show you how it goes.
You gotta engage that edge, and then engage it in your back.
Yeah. Okay. So what Chris just told me is a really valuable piece of advice for paddling a longboat. You want to use those edges to keep it maneuverable, and when you engage them, he's telling me to lean back a little bit to engage the rear quadrant of those chines or edges behind my hips. And it makes a lot of sense. You can get the boat to respond more quickly doing this because you're using more of the edge. If I'm leaning forward and to the side, my stern is coming up out of the water. If I lean back a little bit, I'm making sure that the river is grabbing onto the entire length of that 12-foot boat. As you can literally see in the video, it's pretty chilly out for this paddle. When it's cold, you have to take some precautions in terms of your safety. I know a lot of people who don't like to paddle or will do something easier if the combined water and air temperature is below 75. If the water is really cold, then you need to prepare to be upside down. So typically what you're going to want to do is layer under your dry suit. Merino wool or synthetic fibers are great as a base layer because they wick moisture off of you. Merino wool, like smart wool, has the additional benefit of not smelling bad after it absorbs some of your sweat, which is awesome. So the base layer's job, aside from insulation, is also to keep you dry and remove your sweat from your body. Typically, there's going to be a mid layer involved too, especially if it's cold. Something like a fleece, or even like Immersion Research sells like a bodysuit, which is nice. It's all made of fleece. But I know people that wear, crew neck sweatshirts, again, not cotton because that's going to absorb moisture and make you cold. And even people that wear like neoprene mid layers, which doesn't really benefit you specifically if it's not touching your skin, but is good for insulation and moves well with your shoulders and stuff. So on top of that, obviously, we're going to have a dry suit. I like to put thick socks, actually like neoprene socks, over my dry suit, like over my feet, between the dry suit and my shoes to further protect those feet, the socks on the dry suit. And all of that will keep you toasty warm. Remember that your head and your hands are still exposed. One thing in cold water that is interesting is trying to think about your head and your hands. In the case of your hands, I prefer pogies. They keep you really warm, but if you lose your paddle, your pogies go with them. Your hands are exposed, and really cold hands can make tasks that require dexterity much harder to do. If you need to grab onto something or undo a zipper or whatever, and your hands are literally frozen, you might have trouble climbing out of the river if there's something that you need to grab onto. So the dexterity of your hands and your finger movement is important as a safety consideration. In terms of your head, really, you want to wear earplugs. I haven't been doing this, and I should. There's two reasons. One, you don't want to get swimmer's ear, which is painful and like a lifetime problem that you'll have, and that's a result of constantly getting dunked, like impact underwater. It's especially bad in cold water. So earplugs will help keep water out of your ears. The other thing is that when water goes up your nose and in your ears, it gives you, or at least a lot of people, a brain freeze, which can be panic-inducing and distracting while you're trying to roll. So those are just some things to think about when you're paddling in the cold. One last thing is that I like to make sure that when I buy base and mid layers, I'm not buying stuff with hoods. That's because I don't like it bunched up under my neck gasket. I'd rather get crew neck stuff that I'm going to use for the river, although obviously once you get off the water, a hood has additional utility in keeping you warm. Whoa! Watch out for that rock at this level. It said no.
Did you see me just come to a stop?
Catching this eddy is a little bit scary, but one of my kayaking phobias is turbulent eddies that kind of keep me on my toes and are constantly sucking me back towards the feature. So I'm making a point of doing a lot of weird eddy catching and weird eddy hanging out just to develop that skill, because you get into harder water, you're going to need and appreciate those eddies, places like the Upper Yacht, for example.